Hello and welcome to Vikram Loves to Freelance. Now, call this a rant or call it a comment, call it whatever you want. But today, I just want to speak about the rate and the extent to which I, as an Indian freelancer, get outbid or underbid by American freelancers in particular. I don't want to talk about freelancers from other countries because yes, there are a lot of variations in the kind of bids which are received, and obviously there are situations where, say, a freelancer from Pakistan or Bangladesh or Sri Lanka or many other parts, many countries in Africa, their cost of living is lower than in India. Their currency is probably such that for each dollar they get more in their local currency than what I get here in rupees in India. But I, in this video, only want to talk about American freelancers, and my point is I am so shocked, so surprised, and so bemused, flabbergasted. I don't know, how many words to use, but trust me, this is a trend which I have been observing so frequently, of late, wherein almost for every other project, I find these American freelancers bidding lower than what I have bid. And that's when, one starts to wonder, is life in America so cheap? Is each dollar, so precious? Because if I look at myself, if I look at, say, $100 figure, $100 roughly about 5,000 Indian rupees, give and take 100 odd rupees here and there. So I just 5,000 rupees, trust me, is not a lot of money today in India. It's absolutely not a lot of money. The way it can really disappear within no time at all. Yes, there's a lot of variation in terms of, say, lifestyle and what the kind of life that people lead and what the needs and preferences, etc., etc. But by and large, I'm honestly telling you, $100 is not a big amount. $200, 10,000 rupees, not a big amount either. So I don't know, but then the kind of penny pinching and the kind of bottom feeding which I get to see on a lot of these freelance sites, and I'll repeat what I've already said, that specifically about American freelancers, it's such a big mystery to me, because the general notion is that life in America is very expensive, so it makes you feel that for an American $100 should probably be the face value of, say, 100 rupees here, which is absolutely peanuts, peanut shells. It's not even the peanuts. So for if I bid for a project which I think, in terms of the effort and time that will take me, if I think $100 is a reasonable price, and there you have an American freelancer bidding $50 for that, what does one say? One is completely at a loss of words. One is at in a state of almost shock. That what does one do? And that's where I have some questions. That is life in America, is the cost of living so different? Say, one who's living in New York, one who's living in, say, Manhattan, is the cost of living there so much higher compared to, say, life in, I don't know, Montana, rural Montana, or some, I don't know, some rural place in America, some small quaint town. I agree and I understand that yes, there is significant variation in cost of living, but what I would have thought that, if you're coming on this kind of a platform, freelance platform, and you're making that much of effort, you're taking all the, you're obviously spending time, you're placing a proposal, and then you're, working on whatever you're doing, whether you're writing articles or designing logos or whatever else you might be doing. If you're taking up that kind of time, that kind of effort, I would assume that you would be, expecting to be commensurately paid. And another very confusing thing for me is that, as an Indian, I have my Indian friends and family and relatives who are in America, and they earn fairly well, and they still say that, that's just average. Like, I have a very, very close friend, okay, and he earns, I can tell you the exact figure without giving you his name or any other detail. He earns $110,000 a year, and he told me specifically that of that, there's a significant amount of which goes away as tax, and he's left with, I think, $66,000 in hand, and the way that gets divided is $5,500 a month. And the way what he says is that that's okay. I mean, that's nothing, something to celebrate about, but at the same time, yeah, that is decent pay. Now, if that is decent pay, obviously there are a lot of people earning much more than that. So that's where I find it such a big mystery that those who are absolute penny pinching and bottom feeding and bidding on these $20 I don't know article for, if I have bid $10 for an article which I think is okay, I mean it's fine if it's about 500 rupees, okay. But if somebody else is bidding say $5, $3 in, and there are these unbelievable project postings where they are expecting, I don't know, $1 an article, and there are still American freelancers bidding on that. That, I'm telling you, is like a very big mystery to me. Why would they even bother? Why even waste that time? Even the time taken to put up that proposal, for me, from that American freelancers point of view, is a complete waste. And I don't understand. People say that, oh, they're just trying to, they're new to the site, and so they're just trying to build up feedback, and for that, they're willing to work it so less. That's again unbelievable, because even if you're working for so less, even if you're new, you don't actually need to work for so less. That's what I wanted to say, that even if you're just trying to get your foot through the door, doesn't mean that you need to work it so less. And another very mysterious point which I'll make, I've seen these on say the Elance profile, first page, you'll have the minimum rate, in proudly written as say $75 an hour. And then if there's a project posting where the client is expecting less than $10 an hour, there are those same freelancers who said, oh, my minimum is $75, and they're willing to work at $10, less than $10. And I just don't understand. So there are a lot of these things which seem like a complete mystery to me. And like I said, that it's just, I just think that why even bother the whole time and effort that it'll take to put together the proposal, do the work. And then as it is, see, these freelance sites have their reasonably high commission rate. So that's when there's another mystery, that when that even if you're bidding $20, you won't get that $20 by the time it comes to you. I don't know how it works in America, but here we are like, either the bank, it comes directly to the bank. These sites offer just one free transaction to the bank. Beyond that, you are essentially dependent on intermediaries like PayPal. By the time Elance has say cut its 8.75%, then PayPal takes a horrible exchange rate over the actual one which is prevalent. So trust me, even when the exchange rate is now, it's about 52, 53, it's around that mark. It had gone up to 56, which was really good for us, bad for the economy, but nonetheless it was about that much. Now it's about 52, 53. By the time the money comes, it's about 50, and that's why I take it as 50 rupees to a dollar. It does, you lose a significant part, and that's where it is all the more important that you bid a reasonable sum of money. And it's about, see, from the American freelancers point of view, it's about, I think, even if you're new, it's about sticking to your guns, which in my opinion is so important. Even if you're new, why do you even think that, oh, I need to bid low and then get awarded? Why can't you be awarded on the basis of your competence alone? Now, this is a big point which I have, and I often wonder that this is really not true, that you need to bid low to win projects. You need to prove your competence, and this is true even for me. If somebody's coming to me for work, I'm not going to be looking at the price alone. I'm going to be looking at the competence, the ability to deliver. Yes, in terms of say the options per se, a lot of these project postings get bids from freelancers who are probably just as competent as each other, and that's where the importance of price becomes higher, because that, okay, I have say 10 proposals, out of which 5 are probably just as good, so I will use price as my determining factor, wherein I'll choose the lowest proposal. Even then I feel you can stick to your guns, and there are so many project postings. You don't need to go for these horribly paying projects. You can go for projects which are paying better. So I could go on, so I will probably end here, but I would really like to repeat what I said, that don't have this notion that you just need to bid low to win projects. as an American freelancer in particular, I think, if you maintain your guns and you stick to your guns, so to say, and maintain your level, that's when freelancers in other low cost destinations can still charge fairly reasonable rates. But if you start charging very low rates, then other, freelancers in other countries are expected to charge even lower rates. And trust me, here in India, things are not as cheap as many of you think. You think, oh, I this guy got $50 and he'll have a blast for the month. Trust me, $50 can, disappear in minutes. Minutes. It doesn't take me much time for me, even 5,000 rupees in my wallet disappears really fast. And overall, in terms of the quality of life which we lead, many of us, I'm not saying that the ordinary poor folks on the street, those who are struggling, etc., but we, the urban, the educated, a lot of us, we lead, our quality of life, trust me, is pretty much at par with much of the Western world, because I have seen life in much of the Western world. So I can tell you that, the kind of life we lead here, the kind of amenities that we have, is not really, much less. And from the cost point of view, it's again pretty much, at par. When that is the case, you need to reassess your entire, this approach that you've somehow got into your head, that, oh, these are low cost destinations, people are living there on peanuts. Not true. So therefore, when it comes to American freelancers, I think they in particular have a sort of a responsibility. I know that they are not liable to me. They are not bound to me that, oh, I have to bid low, so that I have to bid higher, so that that poor chap can somehow, still bid reasonably. I'm not saying that, but still, from everyone's point of view, when everyone maintains a certain level at which they bid, I think ultimately it's for the greater good of everybody. So I'll end on that. Cheers.